So I'm just reading a article from kingworldnews.com. They've always got some pretty interesting people on the show, or sometimes there'll be a audio interview, or they'll just do a I don't know if it's a phone conversation. They just write the transcript on the site. But this particular one starts off with the transcript, but I believe at the bottom it looks like here, excuse me, they've got a couple of audio. Just James Turk to listen to. Which one is this? Mark Faber and Andrew Maguire. So those are probably interesting ones to listen to, but I just want to read you this real quick, and then I'll put a link up to this site where you can listen to those two audio clips at the bottom. And if you want to read this article over yourself, again, go ahead. Are we about to see a massive short squeeze in silver? And he's got James Turk with him on this interview or whatever. Despite the large commercial short positions, are we about to see a massive short squeeze in silver? James Turk says this is an option expiry week for gold and silver. The COMEX options go off the board Wednesday, February 24th. Then the over-the-counter options expire later in the week. The last week of February is a particularly important one for silver, and that's because March is an actively traded month for silver, and all the March silver options will be reaching their maturity over the next few days. You and I have discussed many times over the years how the price of gold and silver weakens during options expiry. The consistency of this pattern is clear evidence that gold and silver markets are rigged. So it is not surprising that gold and silver prices are both driven lower last night in Asia on thin trading volumes. Somebody was painting the tape, and he's referring to Sunday night. But what was particularly interesting to me was the way that silver was pummeled in the early morning here in London just before the markets opened. At 7:30 a.m. London time, spot silver was $15.20. Yet 45 minutes later, it had been beaten down to as low as $14.90 before stabilizing. What happened? It was an attempt to force panic selling so that traders who were just coming into their office would dump their physical silver when they saw it under pressure when they turned on their screens. Now, I'm going to say not necessarily their physical silver, they're dumping their paper contracts. There was also some forced margin selling. The buyers in that little silver takedown were writers of silver call options. They were in there buying under $15 to cover their option positions even before those options expire later in the week, which is the important point. There was a lot of nervousness out there by the silver shorts as well as the longs owning the March silver calls. The silver shorts are nervous because of their commitments to deliver physical silver for options that expire in the money. The availability of physical silver remains tight, so they use this morning's head fake to scoop up whatever silver they could find. And again, he's referring to Monday morning. And remember, I talked to you in my end part of my video, and I said, by the way, the club, the commercials, have taken out sizable short positions in silver and gold. Why? To do what they always do. End of the month, options expiration. Let's flood the market with some paper contracts to push the price down, etc. And sure enough, we saw the market down a little bit. It's what they always do. But interestingly, the longs are also nervous because they wonder if they will receive physical silver if their options expire in the money. They are wondering whether the sellers will force them to take a cash settlement. In the obvious pressure points are $1,200 for gold and $15 for silver. But silver is the more important one. Silver at the moment is where the real nervousness can be found. The seller of the calls want silver to be under $15 by the end of the week. So they will pull out of their trick bags whatever they can do to achieve that target. They may succeed, But what will really matter is the result if they don't keep silver capped. And that would be a silver squeeze, short squeeze. Silver has the potential for a short squeeze over the next few days going into the end of the month. If that happens, the potential exists for silver to have one or more daily moves of greater than $1, which is a rare event that we saw last year, over a year ago. So, at the bottom of this, he has this these couple of interviews. One's this one, other one's from Mark Faber from the 20th of this month, February 2016. It's about 20 minutes long. And at the bottom of that, he's got one from the 19th with Andrew Maguire, both of which I'm going to tell you probably want to listen to. Very interesting stuff. And keeping in mind, Andrew Maguire is the guy that blew the whistle on manipulation by JP Morgan, called the CFTC, emailed the CFTC, told them specifically what event was going to trigger the downfall in silver prices and the exact timing that it would happen. Got it correct both times. We'll open an investigation. What did you find in your investigation? Nothing. Nothing wrong. Nothing to see here. That's because the CFTC can never, ever find anything wrong, because the federal government is the one manipulating the markets. Gold and silver are competing currencies against our dollar, technically speaking. So I'm sure they make all the employees, or whoever, certain employees at the CFTC, probably sign, I'm sure, non-disclosures. And by the way, everything we're going to tell you to do, national security stamp of approval. It's for the betterment of the country. You will never find in favor of anybody bringing a case against the banks or the government or anybody in manipulation. You will always find that there's nothing wrong. And as a matter of fact, that's kind of what one of the retiring judges said about another judge at the CFTC who promised when he took that position he would never find in favor of a person bringing a case again about manipulation in the metals market. That was his pledge. And the other judge, when he retired, said, you know, since I'm retiring, let me blow the whistle on this other one. What came of it? Absolutely nothing, except exposing the fraud and corruption, the rigging. It's just one more puzzle piece in proof. It's a puzzle piece that has proof on it that these things are rigged. But as you can see, like again with Andrew Maguire, he said we're going to be putting up an exchange. It will be a physical metal exchange, none of this paper crap. And we intend on sucking the business away from the COMEX market. Although I've got news. You're not going to suck away business from the COMEX market when the COMEX market pretty much consists of government and banker people who are the only ones that really have contracts. Very few people actually have contracts there. So it's not like they're the government and the bankers, oh, let's go to this Andrew Maguire's exchange. No, they're going to keep using that exchange and flooding the market over there. The issue is going to be, and it already is, not going to be, it already is, because you saw the London Fix rig the price down 84 cents the other day on silver, blatantly. The issue is going to be the producers of metals saying, we all use that fix to set the price daily, and you just rigged it. I can't trust you anymore. I need another mechanism to set the price. China is going to say, oh, we'll do it. Andrew Maguire, we'll do it. Come to our real exchanges where we don't rig the price. Keeping in mind, though, China, if you're China, who's been buying the most gold out of everybody, no one can even come close to the amount of gold China's been buying over the last few years. You don't want a high gold price. You want to unload those Federal Reserve notes that you've been accumulating to the tune of a couple $1 trillion or whatever they had at one point, and say, we're going to use that phony money to buy gold. So if gold is cheap, we get more bang for our buck. But the day China decides we're now ready to go live with our system in our gold-backed currency, that's the day the COMEX becomes irrelevant. And I don't think it'll be any time sooner. There has to be some breaking of the mechanism that sets the price, and that mechanism is the COMEX. So there has to be a separation, which I believe has started with the London Fix getting caught red-handed rigging the price down. They had 5 or so members, then another 6 or something I thought I read, saying we're resigning from this, being a member of this entity. We're done. That was so blatantly wrong. We're out of here. So again, if you're a producer, a miner, you want the most for your metal, not the least. If you're China, the buyer, you want to pay the least price. So I'm sure some fireworks have started because of what happened with that fixing, PM fix that was rigged. And I'm sure companies are going to start looking for another way to set the price. And that other way ultimately will be out of the club's hands if they want a true fair market price for their product. Anyways, I will post this link so you can hear those two interviews. And that's it. Take care.